mute Twitter eggs. Microsoft gives you more choice on how to handle your privacy and get updates when you want them, and how to save $200 on the Oculus Rift. All that and a whole lot more coming up on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1715, recorded Wednesday, March 1st, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit Epson.com/EcoTank to find out more. Welcome to Tech News Today. This is a show where we tell you every single thing that you need to know about technology that happened today. I am Megan Maroney.
And I'm Jason Howell. We are the A to Z of tech news. We give you everything in between.
To Z. The Omega, somewhere in there too. All the things.
Everything. We're going to blow your mind with Tech News Today, starting with Twitter. It's another week. So that means another Twitter anti-harassment feature, which is a good thing, by the way. Twitter users can now mute specific usernames as well as specific words from appearing on their timeline, and kind of play around with the timing of that. You can do it indefinitely, or you can do it short term for like the next hour, that sort of thing, if you prefer a cooling off period instead. Also, users can now mute those pesky egg profiles from their timeline. Egg avatars often, or many times, have come to represent trollish accounts because it's basically the default image when someone creates a new account. And many times it's like a burner account. Essentially, someone sets it up because they want to say something nasty to someone else, and so they don't bother. Like, obviously they're not going to put their own image there, so they just leave it default. It ends up being an egg, and it's come to be known over time as a symbol of trollish accounts.
I see eggs more as just Twitter users that haven't been born yet.
Haven't come into their own. Right.
I don't. I do notice some trollish behavior from eggs, but more often than not, it's just someone that really doesn't tweet very often. Yeah. Doesn't want a picture of themselves. Doesn't want to mess with settings. So I would not mute the egg.
Yeah, neither would I. It feels like a blunt force type approach, because I've definitely, there are, like you say, there are a lot of people that have a Twitter account that prefer to not upload their photo to it, and they also prefer not to upload somebody else's photo to it. So they just kind of leave it by default. For them, the most important thing is they have an account, they use it the way they do. It doesn't always represent trollish behavior, but many people feel like I see that a lot where people are like, go away, egg, because the egg is the one that's causing the trouble.
Right.
Eggs.
Well, yeah, eggs. I have learned, though, that, if I think about the trollish behavior that I get in my small part of, the world, and I just I always think about, Ashley Judd or someone really, I don't know why I came up with her as the most, Obama, for example, like people that are super famous, I'm sure they get thousands and thousands every minute. So I understand that this ability to block the egg was created for a reason. And so I'm glad that people can use it. The other thing is that if Twitter sees that an account is constantly tweeting at people that are not following them without solicitation, so just that's another way that they're going to get blocked, which I think is interesting. I have a lot of people that I don't follow that tweet at me pretty regularly, so I wonder what kind of effect that will have on people like that as well.
Will it be a detection of, it's not just that you're tweeting at people that aren't following you, there's a component of you're doing that in a harassing sort of way. There has to be, right?
It just says,
because that would knock out so much of, so many, people who have a lot of followers don't follow back.
Yeah, well, it says what the quote was, constantly tweeting at non-followers without solicitation. So we have a few people that answer a lot of our tweets, just yes, no, thanks. Yeah. And they do it for a lot of us. So I wonder about those people. They don't bother me. It's just, they're just part of the conversation. Yeah. So I don't know if that constantly is what that means. Does that mean hours a day spent doing that to lots of different people?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that remains to be be seen. And I'm sure we'll hear about it if it starts knocking people, out of the ability to reply to somebody else. That would kind of be undesirable. There's also filters for users who haven't confirmed email or phone number. I think that one's actually kind of handy, right? That could totally tie into the kind of the trollish, like who's going to put their actual phone number or their actual email if the whole purpose of that account is to troll other people. Basically, Twitter is saying that it's committed to communicating better around harassment, and they've really done a great job. I don't know why it took them this long to kind of get this ball rolling, but they've really committed to it in the past couple of months. Seems like every week, like I said, there's another update, another set of controls. It's too bad we didn't have these controls before. I don't feel like the controls hurt anything. All it does is give users individual oversight over how they use the service. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they don't hurt anything. I mean, I have seen already people who are like, why did I get, warned? Why did I?
Unintended consequences.
Yeah.
For sure,
so, and they just really wanted to keep free speech. But I just think that the people in charge of this woke up and said, you know what? Like, we're not protecting free speech by not instituting these things that they're doing now. And by the way, they're not so easy to find. They're not, these settings are in notifications. You would expect them in privacy and safety, at least in the iOS app. And they're not in privacy and safety. They're in notifications. So if you want to adjust yours, mute words, what have you, you can do that in privacy and in notifications, not privacy and safety.
All right.
In a Microsoft blog today, the company says they will give you more choice and control in the new Creators update that comes out in a month. Mary Jo Foley from Windows Weekly says there will be more granular controls around privacy, location, speech recognition, and the ability to snooze your updates. Windows insiders can start testing the new features today. So snoozing the updates, that was a big deal. A lot of people were really have been complaining about they didn't want to update at all. They didn't want to get constant warnings about updates. There was, of course, a very confusing message that people got for a while where, they thought that they were rescheduling the update, but really they were saying yes to the update and the wording was not so clear. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like they're doing the best they can. Some reason because they've been forced. They made some changes based on Swiss regulations after a lawsuit threat, and so you'll just have hopefully some more control, which was a real pain point for a lot of people.
Having some sort of control is one part of it. I think another part, and the complaints are still kind of circling around, okay, having that control is great, but what is Microsoft doing with all of this data, all this information? The EFF has said Windows 10 sends too much data back to Microsoft within the OS, and the EU watchdog groups have also complained about this, that Microsoft hasn't done enough in explaining how that data is being used and why. So offering the controls is one part of that. And are they offering enough controls to satisfy all these different groups that are complaining about that? In France, also a data protection commission had ordered Microsoft to stop collecting excessive user data. So there's a lot of complaints around this. I think this is one part, and the other part is, of course, how is Microsoft using that information? And we'll see. Spotify appears to be preparing for a hi-fi streaming tier, according to sources to The Verge, as well as users on Reddit who were briefly offered a landing page for the as-yet unannounced service inside their app. Spotify Hi-Fi would be a $5 to $10 monthly price. I've seen $5, I've seen $7.50, I've seen $10, all screenshots showing different prices. On top of the $10 Spotify premium service, it would offer lossless CD quality audio, that's 44 1 kilohertz, 16-bit audio, as well as discounts on vinyl, along with a free record. I don't know where that fits into the equation, but it's on there, so there you go. And that's all, of course, according to screenshots of the splash page from the app.
So, yeah, this was, I guess, maybe leaked by mistake, or, it was...
I think maybe it's more like an A/B test is going on. Spotify hasn't really confirmed anything. They've done the usual, like, we can't confirm on rumor or blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, it's hitting some people's mobile devices. They're having a hard time signing up for it. So, yeah, it could be unintentional. It could also be like an A/B test, especially for the price, because each one seems to be priced differently. Some of them are $5, some of them are $10 extra. And, so maybe they're seeing, how much interest would each price point gather? How much is hi-fi audio worth to people?
Right. It's worth nothing to me. How about you? You're a musician.
I would totally pay for it.
You would?
I would.
But why don't you do Tidal now? You can do it.
Well, it's a music. Well, because most of my library is already uploaded to play music, and having access to all of my library, including the music that isn't part of the service, is really important to me.
So you couldn't do that on Tidal?
I don't believe so. I think Tidal's really just its library, and Tidal's known to have a less
Robust.
thorough, less robust, good word, library. So I mean, it's nice. I would love the hi-fi audio right now, because also I do Google shows, and it's part of the Google ecosystem, and it's part of Android, and it's all built in nicely. So what I want, and I think we're going to start seeing this is an example of it, is that all the streaming services that you use are probably going to have some sort of hi-fi audio offering eventually at some point. In the same way that, you know, Netflix and YouTube and all of them offer high definition streams. It's maybe a little bit more palatable for people to see the difference with HD versus SD video content, less so with audio content. So, you know, a lot of people have to figure out, like, is it justifiable for me? Do I actually hear a difference? But when you're on the right hardware, you hear a difference.
Right. So that's the thing. Like, if you're listening with kind of, you know, okay, $20 headphones.
Totally.
You could be paying $10, a month extra.
But if you're plugging that into your home stereo setup, and you've got a nice setup at home, there's absolutely a difference between compressed MP3 and, you know, high bitrate audio.
Or those fancy headphones that you were reviewing.
Yes, I've got reviews forthcoming on some very interesting headphones. That's all I'm going to say, but I'm loving them so far.
Well, Facebook is updating its suite of suicide prevention tools, and for the first time, they will add their sophisticated self-harm reporting tools to Facebook Live. The company said today that it will use artificial intelligence to try to detect and prevent users from committing suicide based on pattern recognition and previously flagged posts. Users watching live videos will now have the ability to reach out to streamers to attempt to help. So this is being tested right now in the U.S. only. At least 3 people in this year alone, in 2017 alone, live streamed their suicide. So Facebook is taking this seriously as well. They should. The tools will also help people get in touch with mental health experts. And it's really mostly, we've talked about this before, mostly based on your friend group, the people that that you're friends with on Facebook, reporting it immediately. And then they have people standing by, I guess, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it sounds like Facebook has kind of had to ask itself whether it's wiser, what is the smart thing to do when AI or when somebody reports that somebody is having suicidal, you know, acting out on suicidal thoughts or whatever on a live stream. Do you keep the live stream open and then risk people seeing it? Or do you close the live stream down immediately because you don't want that kind of content on the network and find help some other way? And it sounds like what they're landing on is that you actually do keep it open, even though that seems to be counter to what you would expect when you've got a service and anybody could do something like this, because that keeps the lines of communication open. You shut the door essentially, and you're shutting off any potential of someone to get involved and, you know, kind of talk them out of it, or, you know, express some sort of emotion to that person that will make them second guess what they might be doing. You shut off the stream entirely. That avenue is closed. You keep it open. You still have that opportunity for friends and family to kind of get involved and interject.
I mean, I do applaud Facebook on this totally, that they've really partnered with a lot of mental health experts. And it's important. We've talked to some psychologists and psychiatrists. We talked to Georgia Dow about this, and she said, as a people, humans are really bad at knowing what to do when someone expresses suicidal thoughts. We don't really know whether are they kidding? Are they, you know, should I do something?
There's a lot of
I don't
obscurity
know.
there.
And so really having experts involved at that level, I hope will be really helpful.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you mentioned that there were 3 people in 2017 who have done this on Facebook Live alone. The number I had seen was somewhere around 7 known cases of this happening in live streaming in general, which is still pretty low, you know, in the past year or so. Pretty low number, but at the same time, as a trend, it's very troubling. As an option, I hate to say the word opportunity, but when it comes to kind of suicidal thoughts, you know, a big part of that is, well, how is it done? And this is like another way to do it in a very public, visible way, which, you know, if someone is actually considering that, a large part of that, part of the reason behind that could be that they actually want someone to see it and get involved. So there is at least that, but as a trend, it's very troubling as that happens, because it's kind of, it's a seed that is planted in others, unfortunately. Yahoo may have only lost around $350 million of value in its pending sale to Verizon, but there's still plenty of blame flying around internally at Yahoo. Ron Bell, who's Yahoo's head lawyer, was given the axe for not pursuing inquiry into the hacking back in 2014 when presented with, as Yahoo says, sufficient information to warrant it. And CEO Marissa Mayer, her pay has been hit as she saw her cash bonuses from 2016, as well as her stock award for 2017, disappear. She put out a statement and basically said she's giving that, making sure that goes to the employees of Yahoo. But I don't know. Kara Swisher at Recode wrote up the article that I kind of pulled this from, and she really feels like Ron Bell, the lawyer in this case, is really the fall guy, and that the onus should have been placed on the higher up team, including Marissa.
So she is being blamed, and Kara Swisher thinks she should not be blamed for it?
No, Kara Swisher thinks that she should be held more accountable. And why the heck did they fire a lawyer when it was the head? It was the top brass of Yahoo that knew this information and didn't act upon it.
Yeah.
And so he ended up being the fall guy. He ended up, in getting fired. No extra pay related to the firing. So I guess who knows the inner workings, but it kind of feels that way.
Well, after the break, all the news from this year's developer conference, plus we will talk about some other things. But first, let's take a minute to thank Epson, the sponsor of this episode. Epson's revolutionary cartridge-free EcoTank line of printers for home and office introduce a new age in printing. The EcoTank ET4550 wireless all-in-one printer doesn't use ink cartridges. Instead, it features an amazing, innovative, refillable ink tank, earning it the title of CES 2016 Innovation Awards honoree. No more out-of-ink frustration. It includes up to 2 years of ink. That's equal to 11,000 black pages or 8,500 color pages. You can save up to 80% on ink with low-cost replacement bottles, and it's powered by Precision Core printing technology. It also has auto two-sided printing and a 30-page auto document feeder, easy wireless printing from tablets and smartphones. All EcoTank printers deliver an unbeatable combination of convenience and value. With Epson's EcoTank line of printers, you'll have the freedom to print without running out of ink. The Epson EcoTank system was named 2016 Small Biz Windows Printer of the Year. Visit Epson.com/EcoTank today to transform the way your home, office, or work group prints. For the best combination of ease and value, turn to the Epson EcoTank printers. That's epson.com/EcoTank. And we thank Epson for their support. Nearly 30,000 folks are squeezing into the Moscone Center in San Francisco for the Game Developers Conference. One of those folks is Sam Miskovich from Ars Technica. Let's take a look at what he's seen.
Well, hello, guys. This is Sam here at GDC, or just a tiny sliver of it. Just really kicking off after a couple of earlier preliminary days with some panels and some press events that I got to go to. And the shape of things is, first off, Switch Fever is absolutely blowing up. Right now, there is a big Zelda panel going on for the new Breath of the Wild game coming out on both the Wii U and the new Nintendo Switch that comes out on March 3rd, same day as the new Switch. That panel is showing off a never-before-seen 8-bit prototype of the new Zelda game. Looks fascinating, almost looks like they could make a Zelda Maker, much like Super Mario Maker. That's wishful thinking at this point. Nintendo has yet to confirm something, probably because they're releasing so much stuff in the next couple of days. One of those things is the Nintendo Switch, which we at Ars Technica have had time to go hands-on with. Our full review just went live at Ars Technica today, and we're going to have Zelda coverage tomorrow. But today, I also had an article go up about Nintendo Switch's interesting feather in their cap that I think might give them a shot against PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and computer, and that is indie games. The Nintendo Switch is a weird system in that it is wonderful as a portable, but a little underpowered at the home. And a lot of indie games these days are going in a simpler, two-dimensional, clean, retro-looking way that tends to pop and look really great, especially on that small Nintendo Switch screen. Nintendo knows this, and their North American publishing group has put together a Nindies portfolio. Obnoxious name, but serious results. They have 12 really great games on show just from that initiative, and that's not even all of the 60 that are set to come out week by week, every week new games is what they're saying. That's a nice change of pace from the Wii U's release schedule. So that's a really good showing from Nintendo here at GDC. Virtual reality is also huge this year. An entire 2-day segment of virtual reality talks. A lot of developers talking to each other about how do we do VR without making people sick, make great experiences, expand on that first big commercial year of VR last year. And a few big things news-wise as well in that regard. We've got Robo Recall from Epic Games that had been shown off in the past, and it got Beyonce'd this morning. It's out. It's free. If you have an Oculus and a touch pair of controllers, you can just download it and start playing. And it might be easier to do because Oculus also announced cheaper prices to get into the Oculus ecosystem. Do you want to get the whole kit with touch controllers? $600. That's down from $800. If you just want the headset, that price is down from $600 to $500, and the touch controllers are down from $200 to $100. The touch controllers in particular, that is a really good price because those touch controllers are very nicely made. They have a lot of tech in them. You are pretty much only paying a little bit more, the building material cost for those. $500 on the other hand for Oculus Rift. I don't see making a bazillion people rush out and get VR, but I think that's going to help more people who are on the fence be able to buy in and try it out. And it'll be interesting to see what the other side of the VR ecosystem, HTC with its Vive, is going to do. I know that Valve, who are part of the Steam VR whole world, and that's where the HTC Vive is in that Steam VR world, Valve is going to be partnering with other hardware makers to make gear that works with that, because they've always announced that to be an open sort of platform, and HTC had the first year all to themselves pretty much, but LG was announced a few days ago as being part of that mix. We're not sure if that headset is on the show floor. We have a lot of show floor to go cover in a bit, but we'll be reporting back at Ars Technica about anything we find, about all the different hardware going on your head, hardware on your hands, all the other experimental stuff. The whole show floor is full of weird experimental VR stuff. And then there's standard games. GDC is definitely more of a place where developers talk to each other about ideas and engines and middleware and some of that wonky stuff. But Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and a lot of PC game makers from all over the world are here to show off cool games and convince developers to work for them. So there's a lot to play. I really want to go do that. So VR, Switch, PC, console gaming, it's all really exciting. There's a lot of good stuff. It's been a very busy first few months of the year for gaming in general. So I'm going to go celebrate that by playing some games. Again, Sam Miskovich from Ars Technica. You can find me at SamRed on Twitter, arstechnica.com for all of our GDC coverage. Back to you guys.
I really I like gaming as much as the next person that doesn't really like gaming at all. But I think the only word that I heard him say in that whole thing was Beyonce. Like something got Beyonce'd. Yeah, and I have no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the Beyonce thing. But you know what I liked was the price reduction on the Oculus. I don't know if it's enough though. Well, I don't know if it's enough for me. I guess it's probably enough for some. It's not like it moves the console down into, oh, I couldn't afford it before, but now I totally can. It shaves $200 off the package price if you get the Oculus and a controller than what you would have spent yesterday. So anything's better than nothing.
$200 is $200. I am interested in knowing what if the prices. I mean, if sales go up at this point because it's $200 less, or if really everybody who wanted to buy one, like we said last year, like, you know, you could have charged, they could have charged anything for it, and there would be people who still bought it no matter what, and those people already have one. And I don't know, we talked with Ashley Skada and Scott Johnson on Monday when you were out about IMAX VR, like going to the IMAX and experiencing it there, making it some sort of like a theme park type thing. Like, we're not going to all have it in our house, but who knows? Maybe we just, that's how it will really start and grow, like arcades. And then eventually maybe we will all have it in our homes. We'll see. I never say never.
I read an interview from GDC with someone from Oculus, and they were talking about the potential of the Oculus Rift working with the Mac. They basically said it's something that they would love to happen at some point. It's not going to happen anytime in the next 6 months, but it's definitely something that's on their list and working. And personally, I feel like that is one example of a meaningful change, not just Mac, but just the idea that the computer you already have, instead of having to invest in a brand new computer that's VR compatible, if I had a Mac at home, a modern Mac at home, or a modern computer at home that I just had because I had it, not because I bought it for VR. And then I thought, oh, well, I could spend $500 and get an Oculus with a controller or whatever. Then it suddenly becomes a little bit more achievable. You know what I mean? So something like that, I think, is probably what we'll need. And by that time, they're probably going to be coming out with another revision to Oculus anyways. So who knows? Maybe on the next revision, they lower the price even further. They lower the spec requirement, and so that more people can just use what they already have to get in.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is that. Yesterday, we have some feedback. We showed off the new Raspberry Pi 1W, zero W thing, whatever. Megan said one idea she saw online was to put your book library on it and then send your books out free to the world via Wi-Fi as a free lending library. Well, Kenny wrote in to say, I wanted you to know that there was a Bookshare website for the disabled. It's at bookshare.org. And it's a site that basically lets you do just that. Of course, everything already exists, even when we say, wouldn't this be a great idea? Of course, it exists already.
Right, and you don't even need a Raspberry Pi for this. So
it's for everybody. Bookshare.org, check it out. It's a great way to kind of share books in an online lending library. Very cool.
And TNT's fan of the day is John Slanina.
I know that guy.
Also known as Jammer B, from the balcony in Sandpoint, Idaho, overlooking Lake Pend, Orville. Lake Pend?
Lake Pend, Orville, yeah.
Lake Pend in Orville, anxiously awaiting the Humphreys McGee concert.
And while he's waiting, we are honored to know that he is watching TNT on his tablet. John, of course, works here at Twit, and he is a huge Humphreys McGee fan. Like, travels with them and stuff.
That's a band.
It's a band, yes. It's a band, and he is a mega fan. So
whether or not you work here, show us how you watch TNT. Record a video, take a picture of yourself or your setup, post it on Instagram, post it on Google+. Do you still look at Google+ to find those?
Well, yeah, I look in all these places. I just don't look on a daily basis. But I'll sit down every once in a while, and it'll be my project. I collect them.
You can also send it to us in the mail. Our address is 1351B.
Redwood
Way,
Petaluma, California, 94954. Actually, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, let's get some snail mail how I watch. I want to see that.
Yes, and it's also, you can find the address on twit.tv, and probably we have the address somewhere.
Yeah, you can probably Google it too. However you want to send it, we'll read it on the show. All right, forget Google Glass. Welcome Google Hat. Okay, so it's not an actual product yet, but a patent that was granted for Google that takes the camera system similar to what you found on Google Glass and integrates it into a baseball cap style hat. The bill of the hat is what houses the camera components, so the wearer can do things like snap photos and videos, live stream their life to social networks, everything that you could do with a camera, except it's on your hat. Google says it could be good for interactive assistance sessions.
Why do we not have this yet? That's what
Smart
I don't
hats.
understand. I don't know.
Yeah, would you wear a smart hat?
Absolutely, I'd wear a smart hat.
Really?
Yeah, well, I feel like the creepy thing about Google Glass is it covers your eyes, but then this way, and spectacles, but it's just on your hat, and it's not creepy at all.
Yeah, but the hats look goofy with a camera on the bill, period.
Well, I think anything can be made to look not goofy anymore.
Maybe.
If like Johnny Ive designed it, then yeah, we're talking about
most
something.
Beautiful aluminum hat in the world.
You know who would wear a Google hat?
Who?
Burke.
Burke. Burke would. Oh, see? Yep. Says I would. That's exactly what I thought. Oh, because Burke is the kind to wear a hat. So
yeah,
he's actually missing technology in his hat right now. So that makes perfect sense. He could probably put it to some really good use here at the studio as well. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show always by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. You can also leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW. And you can find us on Twitter. We're at Tech News Today TV.
And subscribe to this show if you haven't already. You can subscribe in just about any app there is. Go to twit.tv/TNT. Find out how to subscribe. And if you want to tweet at me because you were looking for our address because I said it too fast, please do tweet at me. I'm at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Brian, behind the controls. Thanks to Burke. for occasional musings, and for helping out in the studio. All things equally. We'll work on getting you a hat. And thanks to Kevin for editing the show. Thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.